hello. This is NDME TV Live, and I am your host, Gina Sedman, and we talk about all things film. I have with me an amazing director that has an amazing film that's coming out, and he's done lots of things, but I don't want to get too much into it because I'm going to let him tell you all about it. So we're going to welcome Daniel Knudsen. Yay! Thank you so much for being here, all the way from Detroit, right?
Yes. Well, Gina, thank you so much. It's so much fun to join you and get a chance to meet you and be on your show. But yep, I'm right here in Detroit. This is my hometown where I was born and raised, and I am doing films. And my next movie coming out is a really fun family kids movie called Dinosaur Cove.
Wow, that is awesome. I love dinosaurs. I've had this fascination with them. I used to watch dinosaur movies back in the day when they were like claymation and they were all fake, and when I was a kid. So it definitely brings out the kid in all of us. So tell me a little bit about how you got started. I want to know all the juicy stuff. Just give it to me and give it to me raw.
Okay, well, the raw story is actually kind of funny. I became interested in film as the result of my dad's coworker. He had a coworker who had a friend in the film industry. My dad's a pilot. He works for Delta Airlines, and this particular coworker knew a friend in the film industry, and they were on set, and their friend did the payroll for movies. It was a big movie being shot over in Europe, and the story that I heard was that everybody on set was mean to each other, but everybody loved the payroll person. And I don't know how, but that made me want to get involved in movies, hearing that negative story about the film industry. Most directors are like, oh, when I was a kid, I saw E.T. and I knew for sure I wanted to be in film because I was so inspired by this movie. Yeah. That's actually not my story. I was inspired by hearing a raw, gritty story about real life, but I was fascinated with the idea that real people make the content that you see in the theaters and make the shows that you see on TV. And when I heard that story, that's how I knew what I wanted to do with my life.
Yes. So tell me, have you operated in different parts of the film industry? Like, do you just mainly focus on directing, or do you do production, or have you been a part of executive production, or have you been a PA? I mean, tell me some other stuff do you operate the camera? Do you do lighting? Let me hear what other things you do.
So, as you know, film is very difficult, and there are a few people who make it to the studio level that are directing, big multi-million-dollar projects where their focus is on one thing, maybe just directing. For me, I'm doing everything. I've literally done everything from makeup to camera work, and just about everything in between, craft services, food prep. So I started off when I was 17 years old. I had a friend, his name is actually Joshua Walsh. Just recently, he was a producer on a couple of bigger movies. You may be familiar with some of these: Woodlawn, October Baby, I Can Only Imagine.
Yes.
A new one that just came out, I Still Believe. It's the true story about Jeremy Camp. But my friend, I was actually friends with Josh when we were in high school, and he was a part of a film that was being shot down near Orlando, Florida. And that was my first film to be on as a production assistant. And so I did some PA work for a couple years in films, and then I went through a film program right here at a community college in Michigan near where I live. And then I transferred to Thomas Edison State University, got my degree there. And then since then, I've been making my own movies where I write, produce, shoot, direct, and do a lot of the stuff. And I've got some other people who are helping in some of the different aspects, but I'm so very, very involved in all of them.
Great. So let me talk about when you were in school. What was your first project that you did? Because I know they have to, in order to, finish that course, you have to come up with this big video. So can you share with me, do you remember what it was, and were you happy with the outcome of it?
Yes, one of the projects I did in school, that was, I think, the one I wrote and kind of directed and was involved in shooting, was a little short we did about having a shopping car race, the little shopping carts that you have at Walmart.
Yes.
One of the other film students, I think, at the time was working for Target or one of these places. They let me use some of the carts, and then we did this shopping cart race short, and it was this whole big little little race with people in shopping carts, and there's not a whole lot of plot to the story, but it was chase. People were chasing each other in shopping carts with, you had a pusher and a rider, and so we shot it in front of someone's house, and we did this fun little shopping cart. So that was the short. I probably still have it on
What was the name of it?
I think it was just called the Shopping Cart Network.
I love it. I love it. Do you still have that video?
I probably do. I think it's on, it might even been on VHS. I'm just old enough. Well, no, I think I do have it on DVD. It's not, I wish I had it on just a digital flash drive. I think it's on DVD somewhere. I might be able to rip it, but
yeah. It's always good to keep things that were parts of your beginning. And, I don't think we as filmmakers understand how far we grow until we look back at our first works, and sometimes we want to hide away from them and stuff them, but it's always good to just really keep those vintage ones in the archive, because you really can see the progress that you've made, and you don't even realize, because we're always still evolving and we're always learning. We know we always have so much more to learn, and you get frustrated because technology continues to advance, and you're like, okay, so as always you're having to learn and catch up, because there's going to be this new camera, new technology, new way of doing things. And so you feel like, I'm not getting where I need to be. But then when you really look back to where you started, and there's a shaky films and things were blurry, and then you're like, I grew a little bit, I grew a little bit. Yeah. So
I think,
go ahead, hon.
I was just gonna say, just real quick to agree with you, you're absolutely right. I think that's a good lesson for all of life. Something that I really try to keep in the forefront of just my mind is, well, two things actually. You mentioned don't realize where you've come from. I think even I think it might be in the book of Proverbs. It's like, don't despise when they have small beginnings. It's okay to realize, hey, look at how far we've come from where we were. That's always real important. But I think the biggest thing I always try to keep in front of me is like, I'm not competing against anybody else. I'm trying to be a better person than who I was yesterday. It's just that little tiny increment. If we each day making little steps forward, becoming a little bit better filmmaker, a little bit kinder, all these other things, we're slowly growing, and it doesn't happen all at once. So I just want to say, just kind of, to piggyback off of what you said, absolutely.
Awesome. So, dealing with the different aspects of the film industry, which parts would you say you found the most fascinating, and why?
What I find to be the most fascinating is why story actually connects and works with people. To me, the story side is the most fascinating. There's all different kinds of films made, and obviously there's marketing and franchises and big intellectual property IP, franchises that will have a huge audience that'll go see them. But the movies that actually connect and why they connect with people is the part that I find fascinating.
Yeah, definitely. I know I used to really, I don't think a lot of people think about it, but when you're a screenwriter, you literally have to have this schizophrenic experience. And I mean, I'm not saying it in a negative way, but you're creating all these different characters, and these characters are not you, and they all have to talk to each other the way their actual profile talks to each other, and so you're creating all these characters, and then when you step on that set, you actually meet these characters that are from that paper. And I just think that's just like awesome. I mean, isn't it a great feeling to be able to know that you created this project, or you directed this project, and then you see it materialize, and you're like, wow, I had the opportunity to bring this to life and breathe life into these characters and make them and shape them. And it's like you're meeting them, and you're like, okay, how you doing? And these are people that just came out of your head and jumped on a piece of paper, and they're standing right in front of you wearing the same clothes that you envision. They're doing the things, and you can change your life around and say, oh, I think I want to make them do this. And you're like, no, let me not do that to them. That's not right, but it's almost like you're in that position to kind of sway them, however you want them to be. And I find that, extremely, extremely fascinating. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I find it extraordinarily fascinating because it really is the materialization of an idea that you have in your mind
Mhm.
that you're literally creating into a story that people can go out and experience and watch, and that literally came out of, an idea in your mind. So it's a fascinating experience from start to finish. And I find it also very interesting myself as a person of faith, thinking about God as a storyteller and the story he's telling, and he's creating us, and we're doing a
Mhm.
lot like a lesser creation. We're not creating real people, but we're creating this sort of a simulation of reality. I
Yeah.
feel it even gives me uh it's gonna sound weird, but I would say almost like it feels like it gives me even a little bit of an expanded way of thinking about my faith, because you think of God, he's the master storyteller,
Yes.
creating a story throughout all of creation, characters, people, and but then people doing their own things, their free will. And as for both of us, we're directors. We're trying to get people to make our story, but then sometimes people aren't always cooperative and doing
Yeah.
different things. So I don't know, just the perspective. It's really fascinating as an experience to
Yeah.
have a vision, and then to go out there and to literally create it, and to
Yes.
bring it to life in this simulation we call movies and cinema and TV and media. So yeah, I absolutely love it, and I find that part extraordinarily fascinating.
Yes, yes. Tell me about the first time you literally stepped on that set and you were the director, Daniel, the director. That was that vision that God gave you and predestined you for. You literally, it was like, Superman, like dun, 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 dun. Like when you were driving on your way down to the studio or to the set to film this, and you are now the first time ever the director, and you get out of that car. Before you get out of the car, what are you thinking? What was going through your mind? How were you feeling?
That is such a good question. And I'm glad you asked it, 'cause this is a moment I really do like reliving, because it was a magical moment. The first feature that I directed was this movie called Creed of Gold. You can watch it free on Amazon Prime, Tubi TV, and
Okay.
YouTube. It's out there.
Okay.
And I was 21 years old when I started working on the movie. So I was literally a kid just out of college, started working on it. And I had done some shorts, my shopping cart network
Yeah.
shorts, and a few others. But those were like smaller films with very, very limited cast and crew. It wasn't like a huge project, but I mean, it was like a big project. There was about 100 people involved, and a lot of like our like core cast and crew was like 50 people. So I mean, it was a big enough project. It's actually one of the bigger films I've done so far. Since then, I've actually kind of gotten smaller as far as films. But this one, I was just out of college. I had a lot of friends who were all college age, and they all wanted to be a part of doing a movie. And I'm actually extraordinarily humbled that so many people really believed in my vision early
Yes.
on, that were willing to sign up to go on the adventure. But there was a school that it no longer exists now, but there was at one time a Christian college in Indianapolis. During their summer break, because they weren't in session, the campus was open, so they let us stay there, and we shot a lot of it in Indianapolis. And that was like our core location and core sets. Then we found locations throughout Indianapolis to film the movie at. And so there was this little coffee shop. It's called Henry's on East. It's a little
Yes.
coffee shop in Indianapolis. And we had a nighttime scene. So it takes place after the sun goes down. The coffee shop actually had already closed,
Uh-huh.
but they had this sort of like outdoor seating. And this
Yes.
was before COVID, but it was
Yeah.
like one of the nice outdoors.
When everyone can hug
Plan
each
to
other. Yeah.
yes, each other. And it had actually rained that day, but then it had stopped raining, well on into the evening. The sunset was going down, and it was one of those sunsets that is this beautiful pink, cloudy, gorgeous, otherworldly, beautiful sunset. And I drove up, and we had cast and crew, and we were all setting up, and it felt like it was in slow motion. Like I can't believe this is really happening. I was very underprepared actually
Yeah.
as a director,
Yes.
because this is the first time I've done anything with a lot of people. It was a lot of a lot of people, a lot of moving parts, and my crew was all other guys and gals basically my age who had very little to no experience making movies. So I was telling them what to do with just a little bit of film school training, and they had maybe a little tiny bit of experience or none at all. Most of them actually had none at all. So
that was probably best.
It probably was best because they didn't know everything I was doing wrong. So, but it felt like I was walking on set in slow motion. It was the most beautiful evening, sunset you could ever experience. It was calm, beautiful. Everyone was setting up, and I just remember, pinching myself like, I can't believe this is real, that this is actually happening to me. And growing up, I always wanted to be a filmmaker. My grandfather was actually a Nazi concentration camp survivor. It felt like awesome. this like huge dream that was like so far out there, and no one from my community did this kind of thing. And it was like reaching so far beyond the stars, and I'm like, I can't believe it. I'm standing on my dream right now. And so we just prayed, thank God for his faithfulness bringing us to that moment, and shot the scene the best I could. And the scenes in the movie, if you watch Creed of Gold, it's the little scene where Tackett gives the lead characters the thumb drive. So that was my first scene ever.
All right. All right. Well, you know what? That is wonderful, to just go back and talk a little bit about where you came from. So let's go in and press the fast forward button really quick. And you have an amazing movie that's coming out. In fact, I'm going to be interviewing one of the actors that you have in there, but we won't say anything right now. They'll have to just see it. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about your new project that's coming out, because this is going to be huge, and I definitely am going to be watching it and sharing it and letting everyone know. But tell everyone about this amazing project and how you've evolved and what you're doing now. And let's hear it. Let's hear it, and tell everyone when it's coming out. We want to know all the scoop. So.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I am looking forward to finishing this one. This actually was my favorite movie out of everything I've done so far. I did this movie called Dinosaur Cove. Yay. It's a fun kids adventure movie about a kid who finds dinosaur eggs, and there's a crazy scientist after the eggs too. And it's a fun adventure. And the movie is going to be hopefully coming out later on this summer. We're just about done. We just wrapped up the visual effects. And you mentioned before, back in the day, dinosaurs claymation. I'm a kid at heart. I love dinosaurs so much growing up. So this was like just that return to childhood. Nostalgia was really fun. But thankfully I was able to work with a really, really talented visual effects artist. He's actually out of India. His name is Prakash, super great guy. He and a business partner, Priya, I think is how you pronounce her name. And they did the visual effects for the movie Total Recall. They did the visual effects for the recent Hollywood remake of Total Recall. He does a lot of big Hollywood movies, a lot of big Indian films. He did a really big Indian movie called Bakubali, which is a huge Indian cinematic experience, which I've had the privilege of seeing. So he does some really big movies. And he did the visual effects. He did our CG dinosaur. So
awesome.
We do have a dinosaur in it, and he did a great job. So we've got dinosaurs. We've got kids, adventure, mad scientists. It's a really fun location. We shot this over on the west side of Michigan on Lake Michigan. And if you ever have a chance to visit Michigan, it's my favorite place in Michigan. It looks like the Pacific Ocean, actually, because it's water as far as the eye can see, but a lot of other beautiful locations. So we got that all tied into the movie. It's a fun family adventure. So I'll be looking forward to sending it your way.
Is there a T-Rex in there?
There is not a T-Rex in there.
Oh, okay. You said no dinosaurs are going to get eaten today, huh?
Yeah, no dinosaurs are going to get eaten.
Okay.
A little different than some of the more dinosaur monster movies, the way we sometimes think of them. It's actually a pterodactyl in this story.
Okay, and that's the bird, right?
The bird with the
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Those are, I'm scared. I'm actually scared of big birds. I was looking at an article the other day and they were talking about, they said the bald eagle is back and he's coming after people's animals. And I was like, I was like, those birds are huge, you know, but I think those are big. They're closest birds. to prehistoric looking kind of.
No, they're giant birds. And, you know, I mean, we sort of have maybe just as living in America, being an American, bald eagles are the, you know, it's a symbol, and we think of them as, you know, the wonderful symbol of freedom in a way, but it's really like a hawk, you know, they're very, they're predatorial birds.
Yes, yeah. So, okay, so what, where can people watch the movie, and do you guys have a release date yet, or are you still, or is it just a website that we can follow so that we can sign up to get the you know, the scoop when it's going to come out, or can you tell everyone about that?
Yes. Okay. So we do not yet have a release date. We're still working with figuring out what our distribution is going to be for this project, but you can follow it online on Facebook. If you go to Facebook / Dinosaur Cove.
Okay.
So that's our official Facebook page. You can follow it there, or you can follow it on Instagram, which is Facebook / Dinosaur Cove movie. So that's the handle. Those are probably the best ways to follow it for right now. And when it does come out, it should be on basically all of a lot of the major platforms, if not just about all of them. It'll be on Amazon for sure. It'll be on a lot of the other streaming platforms. So you should be able to get it on most of those places. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Okay. The reason is Netflix right now has really changed their strategy. Back in the day, they were picking up a lot of independent films. Now Netflix is pretty much they're just doing original content, and they're picking up very, 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 very few things. So the movie that I just released, my last movie, a movie called Skydog, that I starred in alongside actually Dean Cain. I don't know if you remember him. He was Superman back in series back there, I think in the 90s. And so my distributor did tell me it would be on Netflix, but I don't think it's on Netflix yet. So I know Netflix is pretty tough to get on for some of these movies. So it might be on Netflix. It will be pitched there probably. I don't know if Netflix will go for it or not, but they definitely should, because they need more dinosaurs.
Exactly. And all of us independent filmmakers understand the grind, and we know that how difficult at times it could be to get on certain platforms, but we are coming together as independents and trying to find other ways. And I'm sure as time progresses and technology, I'm sure more and more people will see that independent film is such a big market now. It's really going massive, and they're going to have to jump on the bandwagon, or, you know, they're going to miss out. So, you know, well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. I'm definitely going to get those links from you, and I'll make sure that it is going across the screen here. So we're going to have this on YouTube and on NDME TV, and it will definitely stream across. So we'll put a link there so people can get directly to you. And also, I believe you're going to be having coming up a feature in the Indie Post magazine. So we're going to be looking forward to reading that as well. So I want to thank you so much, Daniel, for joining us today on NDME TV Live. It has been an honor, a blessing, and a privilege to talk to such an amazing, gifted, and talented director and filmmaker. And is there any last words that you want to tell anybody out there before we close down? Any other independent filmmakers, or anything you just want to say before we shut it down?
Well, I would just say thank you, Gina, so much for inviting me on today. It was just a pleasure talking to you. And I guess I would just say to anyone watching who does want to get into the film industry, I would say this: it is a challenging industry, but it's also very rewarding. So get out there. It's not easy, but you really can make your dreams happen. This is a better time than any time before in history to become a filmmaker, because the technology has really made it much, much, much more accessible. The technology that we have to film something on our iPhone is better than the technology than I had when I started filming. That was like kind of the top of the top end digital Canon XL2 HD cameras. It's like we just have better equipment, and it's way more accessible. So you really can make a good story with limited resources. So it's really a question of how badly do we want it, and are we willing to get out there and tell our stories. But so I would just say, be inspired, be encouraged, and get out there and tell your story, because you really can make it happen.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself. Wonderful. From the words of this amazing director, Daniel Knudsen. God bless you, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll be talking soon. And I would definitely be watching your new movie coming out, Dinosaur Cove. Get it, watch it, support this amazing filmmaker. Thank you so much.
Paula.
Hey, Billy.
Hey, nothing. Have you been watching the news at all?
No, I've been out from the market. Why? What's going on?
You're kidding me.
No.
They're saying that there's some sort of virus going on out there. I don't even know what it's called. Corona. I'm worried about the hotel. I'm worried about Frank. Everything. I don't want to be on the street like all the other homeless people. I've worked too hard for our money to be
Right
on the
about
street.
now, that doesn't sound like such a bad idea given who I have to live with.
Are you in for the money? What's going on?
No, babe, I'm in this because I love
Oh,
you.
please. You can do better than that. I treat you like garbage.
Bill, I'm gonna pray for you.
Nothing's going on over there. All I want to know is where my small business loan is. No, I haven't heard anything from you people. I need to know. Your website. What? Oh, I can't believe it. You hung up on me again? No, I don't want my wife going to a food bank. Listen, I'll talk to you later. You know what? I'm ashamed of you.
Well,
Food
looks like
bank?
dinner
Oh,
for one
shame.
tonight then.
Frank, so question for you. A friend of mine, just somebody, was looking to find out where they can get this food from.
Gina Carey Films, in association with GNA Universal Media, Billy Jones, starring Marcus Lantero and Carol Latham, will be available online on August 12th.
And I'm gonna sleep on the couch tonight.
I was just kind of wondering about the World Comedy Tour. It's canceled? Look at him with that white coat. He ain't finna worry me. It's Easter. How weird is this? Who going to the gym? No, I ain't going to the gym. I'm about to sit here and binge watch NDME TV. I can't deal with this pandemic.
The shock of losing it all hit me like a ton of bricks.
I told Junior, I said, when you go around Grandpa, make sure you wear a mask. It's very important. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
This is Maylene, and this is my 2020 year.
You can do this.